Fascinating look into a bygone era from a truly remarkable woman. Rebecca Latimer Felton was born in 1935 in DeKalb County, Georgia. She died in Cartersville, GA, my own hometown, in 1930, just 53 years before my own birth. Her grandparents witnessed the American Revolution. Mine were children when she died, one of them a small child when Felton became the first female U.S. Senator, and, in the same moment, the last formerly slave-owning U.S. Senator, in 1922. This book is both a memoir of her early years through the Civil War and just beyond, and also a collection of several of her writings and speeches as she became politically active in the last decades of her life, becoming a leader in both white women's suffrage and the temperance movement that eventually led to Prohibition, and its repeal, in her final years. Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind has become a legend in American lore of the antebellum and Civil War periods. Meanwhile, Felton's real story of those same periods has largely been forgotten. Even in Cartersville, where a home still stood on her plantation land this millennium, as an abandoned lot, according to my memory of living just a mile or so away, until it was destroyed by arsonists in 2001, Felton's name appears on a couple of shopping centers and a couple of roads near where her plantation once was. This story, her story, deserves to be read and understood far more than it currently is. Felton was absolutely a person of her time and era, and this book shows it. She does not hide that she owned slaves. She is quite clear that she believes the white race superior to the black, or any other. Yes, that even means that she uses a certain word beginning with N, that is virtually never used by anyone other than the most hardcore avowed racists of the 2020s. Even with these views, however, Felton makes great effort to explicitly state, and devote a decent section of this book to conclusively proving in her own way, that the Civil War was explicitly because rich Southerners wanted to defend slavery specifically. Though in one of the more prescient statements that many today should take heed of, she also explicitly states that at least the politicians of Georgia had wished, and genuinely believed, that they could peaceably secede from the Union without bloodshed. And yet, Felton also speaks highly of the society the Cherokee Nation built. She shows herself, particularly in the speeches and writings that form the back end of the book, to be a strong and stirring leader in pushing for women's rights, not just to vote, but to be free from spousal and societal abuse. Indeed, it is clear that one large reason she was so passionate in her views of temperance was due to how drunk men treated the women around them. Reasons that some of my own grandparents would see play out in their own lives after both of my grandfathers served in World War II and both survived the meat grinder of the Battle of the Bulge, only to both be there to directly see the concentration camps liberated by them and their fellow American soldiers. I'm not going to bullshit y'all. Felton is truly a fascinating and complex woman, and by 2000 standards, particularly 2020 standards, yes, she can be quite problematic indeed. And yet, by the standards of her own era, she was more progressive than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or even Bernie Sanders are considered today. Read this book. Learn about an era that so many today have so many strong and passionate views on from someone who was actively there. Even as someone who grew up separated by just a few decades in time and barely a mile in distance from Felton, who went to elementary school literally down the road from the last home Felton lived in, even I learned many things about this era that I had previously never known, and it opened even my own eyes in several ways. Thus, I have every confidence that anyone not both from Cartersville and at least as knowledgeable of its history as I am will absolutely learn a great deal here, even if this is admittedly a difficult read almost a century after Felton's death. Very much recommended.